the lanes in beautiful Medford, Oregon. ESPN presents live coverage of the PBA Earl Anthony Medford Classic. Dave Ryan and Randy Peterson with our entire crew. Walter Ray Williams Jr. hopes history is in the making today, on the verge of tying Earl Anthony's record. Along with 3 others, they are ready to roll.
In 2003, he was the PBA Rookie of the Year. Last season, he topped the PBA World Point Rankings. Now he looks for his first title. From Lockport, New York, Brad Angelo.
A methodical player with sick voodoo roll. Like witchcraft, it works, but none of us know why.
A 2-time PBA Player of the Year, he owns 21 career titles and finished 3rd last week in Denver. With a win today, he will surpass $2 million in career earnings. From Claremont, Florida, Norm Duke.
His size belies his power. Small in stature, but huge in PBA lore. He struck 2 out of every 3 times he picked up a ball this week.
From New Albany, Indiana, he used the PBA Tour Trials as his ticket to the big show. And today looks for his first career title, making his 3rd finals telecast, Mike Wolf.
Like the movie Hoosiers, this underdog from Indiana looks to knock off PBA giants for his first title.
A PBA Hall of Famer with 6 Player of the Year awards. He claims 6 majors among his 40 titles, and today looks to make history by winning his 41st and tying Earl Anthony's all-time mark. From Ocala, Florida, Walter Ray Williams Jr.
The big news on tour is Walter Ray's pursuit of history. He got here today doing what he does best, playing that straight outside line.
These are your finalists for the PBA Earl Anthony Medford Classic.
Semifinal number 1 pits Brad Angelo, who threw one of 2 300 games we had this week, and Storman Norman Duke, who looks for title number 22 today. In semifinal number 2, Mike Wolf, whose first 2 matches this week went to dramatic 7th games, takes on Walter Ray Williams Jr., who looks to make history with title number 41 today.
And we start ready with Brad Angelo. You told us last night, Brad, about lane management, how important it is to be effective on each of the TV pair. Can you do that today?
Well, this condition this week, there was an awful lot more oil on the lanes than traditional B pattern played. You know, it's going to come down to who makes better shots, I think, today.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Norm Duke, growing up in Western New York, Brad Angelo idolized you, one of his heroes. What's it like facing him now in a TV matchup?
I think he's putting y'all on, really. I'm nobody's hero. Actually, Brad and I are good friends, and we call each other in the off-season just to see how one another doing, and it's a treat for me today.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
First ever TV matchup, ready, head-to-head, Brad Angelo and Norm Duke.
It should be a good one. Lots of money at stake. $232,000 total prize fund. $40,000 to the winner. $20,000 to the runner-up. All important points. And remember, a 2005-2006 tour exemption to the winner.
Just outside Orlando, Norm Duke will open our match today here from Medford. In style. Shreds the rack. And exhales. The pressure is intense for a bowler like Brad Angelo, too. And Randy, we know he's had some trouble on TV at times. Brad made a final earlier this year. It was in St. Louis. But lost his ball reaction in the final match against Rick Lawrence. Big start, Brad Angelo. First ever TV matchup, Randy, as we mentioned. We check out the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup.
Pretty tight matchup, too, Dave. Average real close, strike percentage real close. Spare conversion percentage pretty high, but here's the thing. Norm Duke only bowled 20 games this week. And if it comes down to a spare competition, which I don't think it will, the edge goes to Norm Duke.
A lot of games bowled by Brad Angelo on Friday. 3 7-game matches. Gets some late carry help on the 10-pin. And a good start for him.
You can see that Brad Angelo has become a complete player out on the PBA Tour. Early on known for just the big hook ball. He's learned to go very straight when he has to. But right now taking on a guy who is pretty good at going straight, Dave.
One of Brad's all-time heroes, as we talked about. Stormer Norman Duke. Look out, a 7-10. Ball was late getting to the pocket, and early, a huge challenge for Norm Duke.
And in my opinion, when a ball hits the pocket, the 7-10 split is the worst break in bowling because you can't hardly make the spare. I mean, it's only been made 3 times ever on television.
Takes the 10-pin. 7 is up. Open frame for Norm Duke. So difficult to convert. And a 22-pin deficit. Mark Roth and Jess Stayrook, the last to do it in Tucson in '91. Just 3 times, Randy, as you mentioned. It's that difficult a shot?
Yeah, I mean, I've only made it 6 times in my 24-year career on tour. Never on television.
Norm's got to bounce back, folks. Does so. 60 feet to success. Norm Duke right in the pocket.
That's called high flush. Getting back to the 7-10, the worst part about it is it's an open frame. Ball hits the pocket. Instead of getting 9 spare, it's 8-1. Norm falls behind early on.
As a young man, Western New York. How about this story, folks? 10 years old, Brad Angelo remembers the day well, watching Norm Duke win a TV title. Shows were on Saturday on ABC's bowling presentation those days. Chris Schenkel, the voice of the PBA. He was acting as Norm Duke in his hallway with plastic pins and a plastic ball while his mom made spaghetti sauce. He remembers every bit about that, where he pretended to be Norm Duke and won the tournament. Norm did win on TV. His mother, Nancy, while making the spaghetti for dinner that night in the Angelo household, was shouting, "Duke, Duke," to the TV, rooting Norm on. And now you know, everyone in Buffalo is rooting for Brad Angelo to defeat his idol, Norm Duke. What a thrill it's got to be to face a legend like that. Did that happen to you at ever time on tour?
Well, I faced a lot of great players. Had to beat a lot of great players. I've bowled against Marshall Holman on television. So I've bowled against a lot of guys. Oh!
Through the nose, look out. Big key with Brad heading in. Lane management and making sure he's got the correct ball reaction on both of the TV lanes.
It just looked like he got it in a pinch, and with his rotation, that ball's going to break loose down the lane. Cuts right through the heart, and this is how you have to make this. You got to get the ball over here, slide this 3 over into the 4. The ball will take out the 10.
Wow, this looks like a skills challenge, trick shot. 3, 4, 10 spare. Trying to increase the number. Got it! Big shot for Angelo! And the huge crowd here in Medford appreciates that huge spare.
Wow, almost like he was watching me telestrate it. Absolutely perfect.
Brad has faced some big moments. We talked about his road here to the TV show. 3 straight 7-game matches, he said last night. A lot of pressure. And that could help today against his hero. Norm Duke, who's in a big hole, but on a strike. Late tripping 4 down goes number 4. And that helps his cause.
Redemption from the pocket 7-10 he left on that lane. Watch this. Drifts high. Come on, give me some love. Oh, yeah.
About 24 minutes away, folks. Walter Ray Williams Jr. head-to-head with Walt. That's a semifinal match as Walter Ray tries to catch Earl Anthony's all-time tour title record of 41. Chance for a 9-pin deficit. Turkey ball, Norm Duke. And here he comes. A 16-4 record, 236.10 average. And the Chief, Brian Himmler, who won earlier this year in Chicago to earn his exemption for next season, a 5-game loser to Norm in the round of 8. Pretty good week for him. Lost 4 total. Made the show last week and lost a classic match to Brian Voss.
So only lost 10 games in 2 weeks. Averaged 253 against Brian Himmler in the round of 8.
Good numbers there for Brad Angelo. He was the points leader last year, but has not won a title yet. However, with shots like that, perhaps it'll happen.
Make a good shot here. Let's go.
He whitewashed Tim Mack in the round of 64 on Thursday. Then how about 3 straight 7-game matches for Brad Angelo? Brad, he told us yesterday on Saturday he was pretty sore. I mean, that's a lot of bowling to do on Friday, 3 straight matches, but feels better this morning.
I think he was mentally sore, not so much physically. He bowled the maximum amount of games you can bowl on Friday, 21, and all of them came to Game 7 shots in the 10th frame where he had to perform or he was going to be eliminated.
The most games he's bowled yet this year, folks, on tour. Great look overhead. But a difficult split. Look out for 7-10 Brad Angelo. Seeing some trouble from each of the bowlers here.
Again, some difficulty for Brad Angelo on the left lane. This much tougher than the 3-4-10.
He's done well, Randy, on this pattern, the Shark Pattern B. Wow! How about it? He kicks it across the lane, takes out the 10-2 split conversions. Brad Angelo coming through big time, folks.
Just when it looks like he's going to give Norm an opening, he says, no way, let me shut that door in your face.
When Randy and I come back, we'll talk about the late, great Earl Anthony, comparing him to Walter Ray Williams Jr., the oil pattern as well, and much more of this exciting semifinal match. The PBA Earl Anthony Medford Classic on ESPN is brought to you by Odor Eaters with unique Zorbatex technology. Destroys foot odor and absorbs sweat on contact. By Miller High Life, to live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the High Life. And by Dexter, the #1 bowling shoe in the world. What's your size? We are located midway between Portland and San Francisco, some 27 miles north of the California border, southern Oregon. Beautiful country, folks. And it is the setting for potential history in the making. Will Walter Ray Williams Jr. catch the late, great Earl Anthony's tour title record of 41? Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson. Live coverage continues here on ESPN with our great crew from Southern Oregon. So, you know both bowlers very well. You saw Earl Anthony compete in his day, and certainly Walter Ray Williams Jr. is one of your peers. Compare the two for us.
Well, hard to compare because of 2 complete different eras. Both obviously great champions. You can see Walter Ray trying to catch Earl's record. Walter Ray almost twice as many tournaments, but he's also made over $2 million more than Earl. Very difficult to compare the two.
So the big question, can the record be tied today? Now, a couple weeks ago, folks, in St. Louis, Walter Ray Williams Jr. seemingly had the whole scene set for him perfectly. Rick Lawrence stood in his way, and Rick defeated him in the semifinals. Is today the day for Walter Ray?
I think Walter Ray had a better chance in St. Louis. I think this week the deck is stacked heavily against him, primarily because of the lane conditions. You're not supposed to play the outside part of the lane. Walter Ray played the extreme outside part of the lane on this oil pattern. But great champions rise to the occasion, and Walter Ray is a great champion. The stage is set for him. This tournament named after Earl. Earl's wife is here. If anybody can do it, I think Walter Ray can.
We'll see. But it's a challenge on this oil pattern. It's a shock pattern, Crocodile Randy. That'll be from last year. What do you got for us here?
Shock pattern, Dave. Last year on this pattern, you could never play out here. It was way, way too slick. Somehow Walter Ray found a way to play the 2 board. You could see Norm Duke and Brad Angelo, they're playing in this zone, and when the lanes break down, they're just going to chase it in.
Only 2 perfect games on this shark pattern all week long, and Brad Angelo had one of those in the round of 16. Almost won another event without a 300 game. Turkey, ball all ready for him last time. Looks for the 4-bagger. And a lead. Gets it! Oh, number 5 got knocked down. And a lead for Norm Duke.
Got the ball in the swish zone. Got a nice break, carrying everything. Norm knows how important that shot was. 1-pin lead for Norm Duke, 7th frame.
Big message from Norm to us, Randy, last night was in match play as we see his numbers. This week, incredible. First in strike percentage, that's in the Medford event. It's like a chess match. Match play is for Norm Duke, and he feels like he's in command right now at this point of the year. Shots like they're talking about it! Bottom of the 10. And the chess match certainly to his advantage right now.
Wow. Watch this, lane level coming right at you. Look at him pose that shot. You see the rotation. He says, come on, ball, flip over just a little bit. 6-pin, give me a little help. Come on, 10. You think Norm is fired up?
Angelo on a spare now, folks. He needs to rally. Norm Duke has a 5-bagger going.
Look out. Wow.
Perfect ball. Blisters the rack.
Take a look at Brad Angelo's ball reaction down the lane. Watch this, folks. Look at the rotation and watch it back end right there. That side rotation he puts on the bowling ball is what creates the back end reaction. He has made a ball change on this left lane.
Can he master both lanes? It's been a big key on TV for Brad. 10-pin.
Good shot.
The ball he went to is cleaner up front with less ball reaction down the lane, which makes sense because he's been cutting through the nose, but that ball finished way too late, leaving the weak 10.
Single pin numbers. Angelo tries to up the percentage. He'll do that with his plastic spare ball. 14 minutes, folks, and counting. History in the making continues. Wolf, Walter A. Williams Jr. Mike Wolf looks for his first ever PBA Tour title from New Albany, Indiana, near Louisville, Kentucky, against the legend, Hall of Famer, with 40 titles, one shy of tying Earl Anthony's record. That's coming up. First, though, got to wrap up this exciting semifinal. Angelo Duke. Way high off his hand. No help this time. And the 6-10 stands for Norm.
And quite honestly, this is a horrible shot made by Norm Duke when Norm Duke has Brad Angelo on the ropes. Just a dead yank pull. Fortunate only to leave the 6-10.
Had a 5-bagger going there. Multi-pin numbers. Excellent for Norm, who told us before the match today he's not bothered by varying oil conditions. He's won 21 times on tour. Having a versatile game on all conditions. Next week, we're headed to SoCal, Southern California, the Orange County Classic presented by Storm. 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 here on the West Coast, as the PBA Tour continues live coverage here on ESPN. That bowling site, Fountain Valley, California, has hosted the U.S. Open the last couple of years. Regular tour stop this year, but still the same excitement as big prize money. Tour exempt on the line. Big ball, Norm Duke.
And with that strike right there, Dave Ryan, Norm Duke has set up the 10th frame to where no matter what Brad Angelo does, he cannot lose.
Pressure-packed moment. And Duke, who has won so many times against a player who has not won yet on tour. Well, tie off his hand again, slipping right through the nose for Brad Angelo. 3-6-10 up for him. Big trouble late in this game. Almost doing him in. It's close.
Needs to convert here and strike out in the 10th frame to put some pressure on Norm Duke.
Brad has faced his hero. 2001-2002 season. Latham, New York, round of 16. Brad's first pro event. Near Albany, lost that round of 16 match, and then the 5-game format, 3-1. And since then had really been waiting for the opportunity to face Norm once again on a PBA Tour event. Max numbers right now.
Brett Angelo strikes out 224. Norm Duke can go spare 9 to shoot 225.
Had to hurry up. Ooh, that's in the switch zone, way light. And the 1-2-8 up, double wood behind the head pin. He's way off.
Last time Brad Angelo bowled for a title, it was the left lane that did him in, and today it was the left lane that will do him in against Norm Duke.
Covers nicely, but you hate to say it, Randy, and that was his big theme to us last night. I've got to master both lanes to be a PBA champion. On TV, the oil breakdown and ball reaction can really be affected by the television lights. It's a different story than match play throughout the week, and once again, it does him in.
Yeah, but I think we got to give Brad a lot of credit for making the changes to get to this point. You know, he's learning to go straighter and straighter and straighter each and every week. His strength is the big hook ball.
Norm needs 8 pins, and this one is over. He'll be in the finals. What a setting that would be, folks. Can you imagine if he faces Walter Ray Williams Jr. in the final? Walter Ray's got to get by Mike Wolf, though, first in the semis. And as we saw in St. Louis, it's not that easy, even if the heavy favorite, Rick Lawrence, beat Walter Ray that day. As Walter Ray was one shy of the record then as well. Norm Duke has a victory. And he has got a trip to the finals, bidding for tour exemption next year. And his first tour title of this season. It would be his 22nd overall of his great career.
No quitting this kid here. Opened early with a pocket 7-10. Brad Angelo refused to go away, making those incredible splits. And Norm Duke imposed his will on Brad Angelo. Check it out. Still imposing. Lane level look. Remember when Norm Duke bowled 300 a couple of years ago in Tacoma against Walter Ray, playing a similar outside line? How cool is that?
Love to have that slow motion effect, folks. One of our special effects here in our PBA broadcast on ESPN. What a teaching tool that is. Bowlers of any level. Another strike. 246, 211, Norm Duke to the final. He'll take on either Mike Wolf, who was in that Seattle show a couple years ago when he threw a 300. Wolf will take on Walter Ray Williams Jr. That's coming up. When we come back, time for the Miller High Life PBA Skills Challenge.
All right, guys, here it goes. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but we're up in the air at least. Oh!
We are inching closer here in Medford, Oregon. History in the making from the Earl Anthony Medford Classic. What an appropriate setting. Can Walter Ray Williams Jr. tie the late, great Earl Anthony? Takes on Mike Wolf, semifinal. The winner will play Norm Duke for the championship. In about 5 minutes, that match will start up. Last week, Tony Reyes filled in the top half of our Miller High Life PBA Skills Challenge bracket with a win over his buddy, Robert Smith. This week, Pete Weber and Michael Haugen Jr., who have bowled some great events, will try to outskill one another. Randy takes us through it.
Western Region PBA Player of the Year. He finished second at the U.S. Open.
No clock stop,
Please welcome Michael Haugen Jr.
You're going down. Really? You think you're going to get a little redemption?
I don't even think so, brother.
Huh? Okay.
How much more you want to do for these guys?
Remember
today,
last
huh?
time?
Huh?
Remember last time?
What's up with that?
Start off easy.
All right.
What lane, Dave? Kurt?
And Michael Haugen Jr. will start us off.
Are we going for the specialty shot already?
No, it's just a straight 10 pin. Don't worry, Pete, it's coming. I just don't know when yet.
Trying to just pick the 10-pin out of a full rack and does. Nicely.
Sorry, buddy.
Easy now. Easy.
You gotta go 22, Pete. Or I guess you do 21, I don't know. What? I don't want you using my groove.
Oh, well. remember that saying, life isn't fair?
Oh.
Neither's bowling.
You're right about that.
All right, it's pretty simple. Just take the 10-pin out of the rack. Okay, you got to miss right this time.
Don't miss too far right, Pete. You got to keep it on the lane. Oh, nicely done. And we have no score yet.
Nice shot, buddy.
Right on.
Just a no thumber.
Uh-oh. Deep trouble here, too.
Well, last time I did this, I left a 9-pin, so you're pretty safe.
All right.
You don't know anything about a 9-pin, though, do you, Pete?
Uh-oh, look out. Look out.
How do you like that one?
I did strike something. I don't know. I'm not all that good with this, but we will try. Try and keep it on the lane this time. When you practiced, you didn't do it very well.
Pete used to hooking it with his thumb in the ball. This may be tough. Look out. Whoa, big time back end reaction there. Pete fails to convert. Michael Haugen one up. Now he's going to try to make the 10-pin using his left hand and only his 2 fingers. A 7.0
right,
degree
Pete.
of difficulty.
I don't know.
This is pretty self-explanatory here.
Almost got a chance, Pete.
Uh-oh, that's made it. That's made it, uh-oh.
Michael Haugen making it look easy.
I'll be more than happy to try that. That heavy ball is just a little too heavy for me, so we'll go with the light ball. Come on, let's try.
All I can say is good luck, Pete. Whoa, look out. Look at that loft. Oh, almost. Good try, PDW, but unfortunately, you're down 2-0.
We're going to do a specialty, Kirk.
That's 2.
Strike 2 for Michael Haugen Jr. Pick the 8-pin from the 2-8 spare from the left side.
Huh?
From the left side.
Yeah, you got to, same thing, but you got to go on this side.
Oh, you got to go.
Yeah. Either way, whatever way he feels comfortable doing. He can back it up or he can throw it left-handed, either way.
Out of the 2-8.
You can't touch the 2-pin. Got to hit just the 8.
Michael Haugen Jr. is going to throw a backup ball to the left side of the lane, plastic ball, and try to only take out the 8-pin. Degree of difficulty, 8.5. That is really tough. What a great shot.
All righty then.
So you can do it that way, or you can...
Oh, well. Here we go. I don't know, Michael. This could be a winner right here. This could be a winner.
Oh, he's all over the 2-pin.
Yeah. That's it. There you go, babe.
Michael Haugen Jr.
I told you it was going to go down today. Hall of Famer, finally got him. Still love you, though, Pete.
Remember a week ago when Norm Duke threw a ball out of a towel for a strike against best friend Voss? Expect that and much more next week as these two go at it.
So Michael Haugen Jr. gets a win there. Round of 8, Jason Couch, Brian Kritzer. Chris Barnes and Tony Riss getting up to the semifinals as we see the round of 8. Michael Haugen Jr. is already through. Himmler and Parker Bone III will also face off coming up. Today's a day of history having to do with Earl Anthony.
The late, great Earl Anthony put an exclamation point on his career at the 1983 PBA National Championship. Earl owned this event. He was victorious for a 3rd straight year and 6-time overall. That title was the 41st and final of his career. The left-hander's record still stands today.
Third time the PBA has been in the state of Oregon, 4th in Medford. There are the matchups so far. Duke is in, Wolf, Williams Jr. next, and those two are joined by our Randy Peterson.
Mike Wolf, looking for your first win ever on television. How do you go about beating Walter Ray Williams Jr. today?
It's time to be a giant killer. That's all there is to it.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Walter Ray, possible history in the making, but first you have to beat Mike Wolf. How do you do it?
I got to throw more strikes than he does.
That's it? That simple?
Well, and a few more spares. Hopefully I don't need the spares, though.
Okay, great. Thank you, Walter Ray. Good luck. This match should be called the Revenge of the Wolf. The last time these two faced each other, 2003 Tacoma, Walter Ray was victorious, Dave.
He was, and then got him Norman Duke for a 300 at Walter en route to the finals. Lost to Mike Devaney that week. Some greats who have won so many tournaments. 40 for Walter Ray Williams Jr. and someone who's won 22 titles on the PBA Tour. Hall of Famer Marshall Holman, the Medford Meteor, back with us. Got to compete this week, you know, on tour as well for you. Good to be back out?
I was very good to be back out. I didn't compete very long. I bowled Pete Weber. He beat me 4 straight and took care of my business.
Great to have Marshall with us. Mike Wolf, a good start on his first ball. So, Marshall, the question we asked Randy and we asked Dick Weber when we were in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago when Walter Ray was on the show. Can Walter Ray tie the record today, in your opinion?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He certainly can. You know, Walter's an amazing bowler. He's kept it going for so many years through so many transition changes, doing things just like that.
Marshall, Randy, let's break it down in the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup.
Pretty close comparison here, Marshall. You see the average is pretty tight, but the big thing that stands out to me is the spare conversion percentage, but quite honestly, I don't think it's going to come down to that.
No, it looks like the lanes are really playing well today, you know, and Walter has so much more experience than Wolf does.
All-time best, 147 TV appearances. Getting help like that on a 7-pin doesn't hurt one bit for Walter Ray.
Marshall, obviously you've seen Walter Ray bowl as much as I have, and when he can play this outside angle, I think he is even more dangerous.
Well, he is, and you know, everybody was telling me, Marshall, you know, we're going to be on the B pattern. It's going to be an inside condition, and the B pattern played out this week. That certainly is an advantage to Walter, although Walter can win from everywhere.
Shredding the rack, Mike Wolf. 228.50 average. And how about the round of 64 match with Ryan Schaefer was down 0-3. Tied the 6th game. Mike won in a roll-off. Then Schaefer needed a double in Game 7. Did get it. And how about that 7-game victory for Mike Wolf? It's not easy to come from behind 0-3.
In that first match with Ryan Schaefer, he's down 0-3, Marshall. He figures it's over. Convinced it was over. He went over and watched Brian Smith playing out. He immediately moves out, wins that game, and then goes on to win.
You know, in my match with Weber, he had me 3-0 and eventually disposed of me in 4 games, but I had a chance to strike my second ball in the 10th, and I didn't get it done. As we see Wolf throw this shot, this ball just hung, didn't quite get there, leaves a 2-pin. I felt if I could have thrown the second shot in the 10th and got some momentum going, you know, you just win 1 game at a time. And he certainly proved it can happen.
Mike Wolf takes care of the single pin conversion, and he stays perfect as we saw on that stat. We're joined by PBA legend Marshall Holman here in the booth in Medford, Marshall's hometown. Your memories of Earl Anthony as a bowler and a person, Marshall, what do you recall?
Earl was a consummate professional. He was the best bowler mentally of anybody who I'd ever bowled against. And you know, people don't give him enough credit for moving around the lanes. He won from playing the outside line, and he won from playing the inside line. And there's Susie Anthony, Earl's widow, and it's wonderful to have her down from the Portland area. Earl was he was a great bowler, and I was very fortunate to be one of his rivals, you know, back in the 70s, 80s.
Marshall, how many times did you see Earl lead a tournament by 400 pins, but he was the only left-hander that cashed?
It was amazing. He had something that the other lefties didn't have. Usually when the lefties had a good look, Earl just bowled okay. But when the lefties had nothing, Earl was a giant killer.
Shredding around, Walter Ray Williams Jr. He struck 3 of his 4 frames. We are joined by Marshall Holman, a 1990 inductee of the PBA Hall of Fame.
Lane level, Marshall. We've seen Walter Ray do that for many years now, and I think the thing that makes him so great from out is his ball roll.
Yeah, and he's able to repeat shots. He's got a very nice end over end kind of a roll. It doesn't hook real hard at the very end.
Mike Wolf, meanwhile, looking for his first ever career win, is not going to just go away. Don't forget, Sunday Night Football comes your way. Terrell Owens, Donovan McNabb, and the Eagles have the best record in the NFC. They look to add to it tonight. They face Joe Gibbs and their NFC rival, the Washington Redskins. Sunday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Time, also available on ESPN HD. Call your cable operator, DirecTV, or the Dish Network today for more.
It looks like Wolf's got to slow down his speed a little bit. Got a little bit fast the last on this lane. Great adjustment. Ball picked up the goal. He knocks out the 10-pin.
Now, Marshall, you made 105 career TV appearances, tied for third all-time with Pete Weber. You know about what it takes to win on TV. As we see Walter Ray's numbers, 16-7 match play record, and he came back from 0-2. Some pressure situations 3 times, but back to Mike Wolf. How does he get to the next level and start winning on TV?
I think he's there. You know, just a matter of making good shots. He certainly looks like he's not overly impressed with his opposition. There's a lot of respect, but he knows he can play.
On a strike. Look out. 4, 6, 7 split.
Wow. I mean, what do you say about this? You don't expect anything like this from Walter Ray Williams Jr. He's expecting that ball to hold line and never did.
Yeah, maybe it looked like his elbow got out a little bit on release. The ball might have been a touch slower, but didn't look that bad to me. You know, Walter, he's just a great player at repeating shots. Unfortunately for Walter, that's not going to get it done in this kind of match, but it's still time to play, but Walter finds himself down by 22.
Open frame. Middle of the match can be so detrimental to a bowler who won his first of 40 titles back in 1986, Peoria, Illinois. Upper level look at it. Wow. And a 4-7 up for Walter Ray, trying to make those adjustments with his ball reaction.
Take a look here. Walter Ray Williams Jr.'s approach, shoulder high backswing. A little bit of an unorthodox type of approach. He has some movement at the foul line, Marshall, with his head, but phenomenal hand-eye coordination.
There's no doubt about it, Randy.
We'll have much more of this exciting semifinal match as Walter Ray chases history next. We are getting set. The rest of the semifinal, Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Wolf. Our decks are approached now. We watch Walter Ray Williams Jr. Randy breaks it down.
Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Brad Angelo, 2 contrasting styles. Walter Ray very straight. Brad Angelo is the big power player. You're going to watch Brad Angelo drift pretty good distance to the left. That's why he feeds the ball from right to left. But check this out. He's got a real high backswing. He hits balls into the swing early versus Walter Ray's. You can see the classic stroker type of styles, more stretched out at the foul line than a Brad Angelo. And Marshall, I think the most interesting thing that's going on is because of the new format, the players are always bowling on a fresh oil pattern. We've seen it with Brad Angelo in our last match, and we're seeing it now with Mike Wolf. They're learning, the power players are learning to go much straighter.
With a turkey ball, 32-pin lead.
Beautiful shot by Mike.
Right at the head pin.
They have to learn how to throw the ball straighter to survive out here. With, like you say, the fresh oil, until the oil carries down, they have to throw it much more direct. Once it carries down, then they can move in and energize.
3 straight strikes, 4th, 5th, and 6th frames, and Wolf a 32-pin lead. Folks, he's never won a TV match. 0-2 in 2 wild card matches, the old format, Burlington, North Carolina, and also Seattle. 7-pin count there, and the 4 wiggles and stays up. Special thanks to Rick Donnelly once again, President CEO of Lava Lanes.
My buddy.
Glad to see Rick again. Well, what great hosts they are. Time and time again voted by the players as the favorite host center.
You know, it's amazing. And in all the years I was on tour, I never thought we'd ever have a tournament in Medford. I never thought we'd have a beautiful center like this in the Southern Oregon area. And Rick and his staff, they do a great job. And he starts working for next year's event as soon as you guys leave.
It's truly the best stop on tour. I mean, he goes out of his way. Him and his staff, they do it right.
They certainly do.
Walter Ray told us last night he's not really been happy with his game since St. Louis. Gets late help. Not getting the carry and ball reaction he's accustomed to and having some trouble by his standards.
Well, he's having trouble getting the ball to get to the pocket, as you see the late trip on the 9. Marshall, I'll ask you what kind of adjustment you would make. I think Walter Ray needs to either firm it up, throw it faster, or move in. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to absolutely agree with you. trying to change, and there he leaves a solid 10. That could pretty well seal his fate. Walter likes to make adjustments with his hand and stay in the same part of the lane. You can see he's in that same outside trajectory. 6-pin goes over the top of the 10-pin, and that's a solid 10, and that's a pretty disappointed Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and he's going to need some help from Mike Wolf now to win this match. But stranger things have happened.
Needed that strike there to cut it to 19 pins. Instead, picks up the 10-pin. And now Mike Wolf, who told Randy before this match, maybe some history in the making for him. He's got to buck the trend and knock off a legend. It's not easy to do for the guy from just across the river in Indiana, from Louisville, Kentucky. New Albany, Indiana, but don't tell him about Kentucky or Louisville basketball. He's an IU Hoosier fan all the way. And gets some late help.
Well, right now, he needs to stay calm towards the end of the match. Right there, that's going to make him feel real good, because this goes right through the heart. Could be a big 4. He gets the messenger comes over and takes care of the 6-10, and he knows he was fortunate, very fortunate. Walter's shaking his head going, well, maybe it's not my day.
He just took a page out of Rick Lawrence's book right there.
Just going to say that, Randy. Looked just like Marshall a couple weeks ago in St. Louis. Well, Rick Lawrence got some late carry, real help on 2 strike balls. Couple of breaks, stayed in Walter Ray, and it's bid for number 41 to tie Earl Anthony, and things look like it's going that way again. 2 straight strikes
for you, Earl.
And a 39-pin lead for Mike Wolf. Told us last night he can't be bothered by the legends. Norm Duke, Walter Ray Williams Jr. in the field of 4 today. Had to play his own game, and so far, guys, he's done that.
Well, he has, you know, and who would have thought 10, 15 years ago you'd see Walter Ray leaving solid 9s, but the way the balls are built now, they're so strong that even Walter, with his straight trajectory, still goes past the pocket.
With a 15-pound ball going pretty straight.
Later today, Tiger Woods, Vijay Singh, and defending champion Davis Love III had a field of 16 of the best golfers on the planet. The Target World Challenge presented by Williams. Today at 3 o'clock Eastern time on ABC Sports. You gentlemen had a pretty good golf match this week, right? Who won that one, Randy?
I got lucky, and Marshall was a gracious host. Let me just put it that way.
Randy played well. He birdied 17 and 18 at Rogue Valley, and I want to thank Jim Wise for being so gracious to me and my friends.
It just seems like everywhere we go in the Medford area, they take great care of us.
Well, yeah, who wouldn't want to live here?
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful country, beautiful setting. The temperature was lovely on Friday. It wasn't too cold. We got a chance to go out there and have some fun.
Unfortunately for Walter Ray, not a great host this week on TV. Buzz strike there. Now Mike Wolf is inching closer to a semifinal win. And an appointment with Norm Duke, yet another PBA legend, he's going to have to knock off. In a bid for his first ever career title. Another incredible upset in the making here against Walter Ray, bidding for history.
Mike Wolf has never lost in the state of Oregon. He came to the Bowl Regional Tournament in Bend, I believe, earlier this year, and he took that tournament down. So maybe this Hoosier is thinking maybe being an Oregonian's where it's at.
Needed a few. He'll take all 10 and wrap up this semifinal match. Walter Ray's bid for history must wait at least one more week.
This is Mike Wolf's push away in Tacoma. You notice how he just kind of drops it right into the swing. Look at the extension of that push away now and how much straighter his arm swing is. That, in my opinion, is what's allowing him to go straighter.
Well, you have to make the adjustments as to what's out here on tour for you, and he's done that. He's taken himself a few levels up. Certainly looks like to be a very confident young man, and Norm Duke's got his hands full.
I agree.
Mike Wolf has defeated Walter Ray Williams Jr. Marshall Holman, thanks so much for coming. We appreciate you having all of you on the broadcast. Mike Wolf will take on Norm Duke in the finals today. We'll have the final, Wolf and Duke, coming up. We talked a lot about Walter Ray Williams Jr. and his quest for historical title number 41. That won't happen today, but Randy gets to know more about the PBA's behemoth in this week's Miller six-pack.
Walter Ray, to you, what is the sweetest sound in the world?
I like a couple of really good sounds. One's when you throw a strike where old 10 pins go in the pit. I mean, it's like a solid flush strike. I really like that sound. And I also like the sound of a good horseshoe hitting the stake perfect.
What's the smartest thing you've ever done?
I think going to college and getting a degree. Got a degree in physics.
When you were growing up, who did you want to be someday?
When I was younger, I was a good horseshoe player, actually a junior world champion. And I remember when I was 11, 12 years old, I wanted to be a professional horseshoe pitcher.
What goes through you when you hear people cheering for you, when they really get behind you and start screaming and yelling?
When we're in an arena and you got thousands of people cheering for you, it gives you goosebumps. And it really, it makes me feel good to know that people appreciate what I'm doing. It really does.
When you're not bowling, what is the one thing you have to do but hate the most?
Cleaning up my room. I'm a slob.
Do you remember your worst road trip ever?
Well, my wife's not the best traveler, so sometimes traveling across the country with her is not the most pleasant experience. But one time we were traveling to a tournament, and this is actually before we had an RV, and she was driving, and I was in the back sleeping, and she stopped at a kind of like a rest area, and she got out to go to the restroom. I got out and went to the restroom. I came back, and she was gone. And she drove 100 miles, stopped, went to the restroom, and then got out and got back in and drove another 20 miles, got off the turnpike. I finally got a hold of the turnpike officials and said she's going to get off at this exit 12 to go to Baltimore. When she got there to pay the fine, or to pay the toll, the guy says, "Your name Paige? Are you missing something?" She goes, "No." "Are you missing someone?" She goes, "Walter Ray," and I'm not back there. She figured that I was going to send her home on a bus or something, but for some reason I stuck around with her.
This week's Miller High Life six-pack on the road. Orange County Classic presented by Storm. They're the Pro-Am site, Southern California, Fountain Bowl, Brunswick Orange Bowl, and Saddleback Lanes as well. Log on to PBA.com for a chance to get involved in those Pro-Ams. And the second half of our season begins in suburban Phoenix, Mesa, Arizona. We're going out to the desert. There are 3 Pro-Am sites available Saturday, January 8th. Mike Wolf has his first career TV win already. 1 legend down, 1 to go. It's Norm Duke, the finalist, next. History will not happen today for Walter Ray Williams Jr., bid for number 41, but history should be made by one of these two, Norm Duke or Mike Wolf. Randy, let's get going with the Geico Direct Championship recap.
You got it, Dave. Earlier in match number 1, it was Norm Duke defeating Brad Angelo by the score of 246 to 211. Norm strung 5 strikes to take control of the match. Then in match number 2 was Mike Wolf defeating Walter Ray Williams Jr. by the score of 256 to 206. Walter Ray's chance at history will have to wait, setting up a great championship match between Wolf and Duke for this Earl Anthony Medford Classic title.
And ready, the finalists are ready. Norm Duke, we talked about bowling at this level and on TV being a chess match. Do you feel like you've mastered this TV pair today?
No, I never. Chess is tough. I don't think anybody ever masters it. It just depends on what your opponent does, and it's the same in bowling, and right now.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Mike Wolf, bid for your first ever title. 1 legend is down. Walter Ray Williams Jr., Norm Duke, another PBA great is next. How do you possibly maintain composure?
Well, he's not quite as tall as Walter, but he's still one of the giants too. But it's one shot at a time.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
These guys are ready for the final.
Keys to victory for Mike Wolf, simple. Believe in the changes that he's made, and don't get too fast. The only bad shots he threw in his match against Walter Ray, he got fast. Duke has to stay focused, and because he sat a match, he has to make the right adjustments on the lanes.
First ever TV matchup. And a split. Oh my goodness, what a start for Norm Duke in the final here. 4-10.
In Norm Duke's fill shot against Brad Angelo, he moved into the center part of the lane and tried to hook it, and that's how he is going to attempt to play or to attempt to bowl this match. I think Mike Wolf's still going to be going straight. Not really sure I understand Norm's strategy early on.
Almost had it. We've seen some splits made today earlier in our TV show. Brad Angelo pulling off 2 beauties. But he leaves the 10-pin in early open frame.
Thought he made it. Last thing you want to do is give a non-winner breathing room in a title match. It's like Mike Wolf, somebody just took a 1-ton weight off his chest.
And he does strike there. And Mike Wolf, who, as we saw a moment ago, is pretty relaxed with the hype comment about Norm Duke and Walter Ray, leading us to the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup.
7 pins a game, higher average for Norm Duke, and he's going to need all of that to beat Mike Wolf. Mike Wolf, his best finish this year, 11th, but right now looking to win for the first time ever in his career. And it's amazing. He's playing the lane straight. Norm Duke, who likes to play the lane straight, is trying to hook it.
Great look from our crew, lane level. On the approach for Mike Wolf. Our crew led by director Scott Katz. Happy birthday to Katzy. This past week turned 30.
And also happy birthday to my wife, Becky. I know you're watching. Happy birthday.
She's 21.
She just turned 25. Again.
It's amazing how that number keeps coming up. Mike Wolf with his family watching back home in suburban Louisville. Mom and Dad, Jerry and Susan, sisters Suzanne and Leslie, his nephews Owen and Zane, and his little niece Emery, all back home on the Indiana side, are watching Mike Wolf today and rooting him on for a first ever title. Well, as the old adage goes, you're going to have an open frame. You want the open to be early. First frame for Norm, got a rebound. 7 pins.
Pretty good shot there that doesn't strike. You can see Norm Duke has now changed his starting position. He's holding the ball low down by his knees to cut down his ball speed and also to give him an opportunity to get some hand in it, meaning create some revolutions to get that ball to hook. Big change, a risky move in my opinion.
Single pin numbers are perfect. One barely stays on the right side of the foul line there. A little footwork issue. But he does take care of his mark. Non-exempt qualifiers. Tom Doherty's been pretty hot.
Tom Doherty's made 4 in a row, and he's led the last 2.
Sean Copeland, the top amateur, and the exemption from our commissioner, Fred Schreier, who's in the house today. It was the Marshall Holman, the Medford Meteor, as we talked with him on the air live a few moments ago. Took on PDW.
We actually had an extra spot this week and also next week because Jason Queen is taking a couple of weeks off.
Good to see you back in action again, 2 weeks in a row, but Chris Barnes this week, right?
Chris Barnes, yeah. I had one big game against Chris. It took all of the 280 to win 1 game.
Help on the 5-pin late from Norm Duke. He'll take that late hit any day.
Norm Duke, about 17 at the arrows there. He was at about 7. A good 10 boards left where he bowled his match against Brad Angelo. That's a big move. 10 boards with his target, probably some 18 boards with his feet.
Wolf looks with his 11-pin lead, working on the spare and look out right through the nose. Is that ever high? And the 4-7-10 up.
Okay, so maybe Norm knows what he's doing, and that's why he's down there and I'm up here, because all of a sudden now it looks like there's not a whole lot of hold left where Mike Wolf is playing. And that's the reason why the guys go straight, is because they can miss a little bit to the left and the ball holds its line.
Looking for help to the 10-pin, will not get it. So now things really tighten up. Only a 3-pin difference between the two. Our Dexter Tournament of Champions, which will come up this year at the end of our tour season, different than in years past when it wrapped up the first half. Randy, unfortunately, your name is getting up there, but Double D, Dave DiAntromano won in Wichita on 0-2 to begin that tour schedule. is at number 32 now.
And congrats to Richie Allen, who bowled his way to the TFC by winning the Regional Players Invitational.
Mike Wolf, Norm Duke in the finals. The PBA Earl Anthony Medford Classic rolls on. We decide a winner next. On the right, Chris Peters. On the left, Fred Schreier, PBA co-owner and commissioner, respectively. Here to check out the great action from Medford. Let's look in with this week's Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll.
And the Uniroyal this week is a lesson in spare shooting. Check out this funky Cole Medina leave that Brad Angelo makes in his match against Norm Duke. And then he follows it up by sliding the 4 over and making the 4-7-10. Outstanding.
Randy, I never personally thought after making those 2 spares that Brad Angelo had a chance to lose that match. I mean, so much momentum in his favor. You saw the fist pumping and the Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll. Those 2 great pickups on splits, yet he fell in that semifinal to Norm Duke 246-211. Folks, it's tight here. 2 opens by each, respectively, have made this a great match. And a big strike for Norm Duke.
I got a quick sidebar to tell you. When Norm Duke was bowling match play, he had the front 10. He was getting ready to shoot 300. He was bowling against Brian Himmler, and through the first one in the 10th, the second ball, he moves to the extreme outside part of the lane just to find another area on the lane to play. Misses the head pin, shoots 286. In his match against Brad Angelo, his fill shot, his last ball, he moved into where he is now. Guess what? He's found a home.
Looking for a turkey. Oh, that was dangerously off the mark, and a 2-pin.
Entire life right there.
Big break. Didn't leave the 8 and the 10 with that 2-pin. You hear Norm got it off his hand weak. The ball never returned.
Spared him.
One of the things that we worked on 2 weeks ago, Dave Ryan, was that he had to wait for the ball at the top of the swing. He has to let it fall that 6 to 8 inches in order for him to catch it at the bottom.
Takes care of the 2-pin and gets his mark, but things stay very close here in the final in Medford, as he did not strike for a 3rd straight time.
Both bowlers' balls starting from different spots on the lane, but notice right there they get to the same break point down the lane.
Boy, is that an awesome look from our crew in the slow motion. You can see that break point and the transition. Hitting the end of this very long oil pattern, the longest we have on tour. The shot pattern, known as pattern B there, Crocodile Randy.
You said it, Dave.
Orange County Classic next week, presented by Storm, Southern California. And Fountain Valley, what a great bowling center that is, which in the past has hosted U.S. Open events. It was the case last year leading up to the final in the Convention Center. And Anaheim, very close to Disneyland. This year, a regular tour stop. Can't wait to get back to SoCal. 1 o'clock Eastern next weekend. Mike Wolf. Yeah! Big strike.
Sure was. He just took an 8-pin lead with that strike, did he not? Our statistician, Tony Reyes. Thank you, sir. Duke trailing by 8, working on a spare. Needs to get back on track. Both players with an open early. Look out.
Oh, way high at the last second as it hits the end of the oil pattern, folks. It really skipped a beat for him and missed the pocket.
Again, you know, we've talked about it before, overcompensation, the shot on the left lane. He misses a little bit at the bottom of the swing. This one, he just gets too much of it. That ball oversensitive when it got to that break point, cuts right through the nose. Norm Duke, big trouble.
4-6-10. Trying to kick it across and look out, leads to 4 and 6, folks. Both up for Norm Duke. And that will be very detrimental. Looking for a 22nd career title, a second open frame. And the deficit balloons to 23 pins. Wolf working on 3 straight strikes coming up in his 7th frame next. Mike has got to be thinking, wow, I've been handed a gift here. Now I've got to finish.
Well, what he needs to be thinking is just continue to do what he's doing. Don't think about anything else.
And Karen Norm Duke gets him out. Mike Wolf told us last night when he was growing up, ANGELO Monticelli was his big hero. He said, sure, I watched Norm Duke play, and he was one of the idols, certainly. But in terms of Walter A. Williams Jr., he said, and Walter A. was always so steady, not really a spectacular, charismatic athlete. So I didn't really tune in to watch him every week. ANGELO was my guy. Well, he's on the verge, folks, of beating not only Walter Ray, but Norm Duke, too. That's very high, and he'll just take gladly the 6-pin up.
Yeah, and that could have been worse. Again, getting back to what's going on in Mike Wolf's head right now should be nothing. All he should be thinking about is making good shots. He gets the gift from Norm Duke. All of a sudden, the blood pressure, the adrenaline rush, and he overthrows it. And barely made that.
Takes care of the 6-pin. He did beat Monticelli, by the way, in the round of 8 here. So a couple of legends have gone down. Be sure to log on, PBA.com, your official holiday shopping headquarters. All the latest PBA merchandise and apparel, including T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, player magnets, and much more. Now available at the PBA's online store. Shop for the entire family at PBA.com. Bookmark it today. Pro-Am tickets available next 2 weeks. LA, and then after the holidays, Mesa, Arizona. Great view from up high. The pass to the pocket for Mike Wolf, who really can steamroll that ball down the lane.
Norm Duke, strike working in the 7th frame. He can strike out to shoot 223. Mike Wolf can strike out to shoot 235. But in my opinion, if Norm Duke does not strike on this ball, he can't win.
Let's see what happens.
And just to reiterate what I was saying, you saw the reaction from Norm Duke when he struck here. Watch this. He knows he has to strike on this ball.
This plays out, Randy. We're developing a theme here for our season. The year of the dark horse, Rick Lawrence, who had only won 1 tour titles. We see our lane comparison. Upsetting Walter A. Williams Jr., stopping his bid for number 41. Now Mike Wolf a chance for his first title. Jason Hurd has won his first title this year. New winners, a new format, Zep Tour. It's been interesting. Oh, back to back, and a big one. Oh, 2-pin lead. Yes. Turkey ball.
Watch this. High flush. The only thing that was going to stand up was the 7-pin. That goes late. He's waving it off. Come on, ball carry. Gives a little look at Mike Wolf. Now, Mike Wolf strike in the 9th and 10th and 9. He'll shut out Norm Duke.
For a 12-pin lead. Needs it. Oh. 7-pin.
How can you go high and then never hook? Are you kidding me?
And things get very interesting. Tightening up.
No matter what Mike Wolf does from here on out, spare here, we'll give him that. 3 strikes in the 10th frame. He cannot shut out Norm Duke.
Takes down 7-pin. Great moments, great champions. We talked about that with Walter A. Williams Jr. Now Norm Duke a chance to prove his worth tonight. Also available on ESPN HD. You can see it Sunday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 here on the West Coast. Eagles and Redskins. Don McNabb, Terrell Owens, and the high-flying Eagles, the best record in the NFC. Looking to derail Joe Gibbs and their longtime NFC East rival, the Washington Redskins. Pressure-packed 10th frame. Mike Wolf. Shreds the rack. Bringing some heat.
One more strike and decent count. Mike Wolf will force Norm Duke to throw 2 strikes in the 10th frame to win this tournament.
Mike Wolf had never won a TV match before today. Are you kidding? Talk about pressure. Yeah! He delivers.
I can learn this one.
Watch his eyes.
Yeah!
And look at Norm. Norm knows now exactly what he needs to do. Great champions, like we said in the open, rise to the occasion. Norm Duke's a great champion.
10-pin to finish out for Mike Wolf. Norm needs 2 strikes and a very light count to win this tournament. Wolf is done with a 214. 2 strikes and 2. Gotta have the first 2 strikes, or Wolf wins his first title. He's got to have it. Mike Wolf is a PBA Tour champion for the first time in his career. Can you believe it? A 10-pin does it. Norm Duke, and Wolf takes the championship in Medford, Oregon.
Congratulations, man. It was only a matter of time for you.
What a fantastic finish today. Such appreciation for the great champion Norm Duke, and now Mike Wolf can call himself a PBA champion as well, Randy.
Norm just misses this just a pinch. It comes in late. It's a week 10, and Mike Wolf wins his first tournament ever.
Folks, take a close listen. Across the country, you can hear a big party going on in Indiana right now. Celebration time.